So, Shannon, if you can hear me now, I will reconvene, call the meeting back to order from our May 6th meeting. And at this time, Shannon, if you will, please do a roll call.
Yes, sir. Mayor Pro Tem Dunn.
Present.
Councilman Lee.
Here.
Councilman Stevens.
Here.
Councilman Scott.
Here.
Councilman Barber.
Here.
Councilman Wood.
Present.
Councilman Rabel.
Present.
Everyone's here, Mayor.
Okay. Thank you. All right, Mike, at this time I will turn it over to you. I believe we have Jeff Jennings is already online, I believe, from the Public Library of Johnston County. I believe he's the chairman. And he wanted to make a few comments this evening, so we'll start with Jeff.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, I'm on the line. Can everyone hear me okay?
Go ahead, Jeff. I think.
Can you hear us now?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank y'all for letting us be back with you this evening. We sent some one-pager out a couple of days ago. I'm assuming everyone has got a copy of that and has had a chance to review it, and our intention behind that was simply to answer some questions that had come up when Renita visited with you a couple of weeks ago. I'll be happy to answer any questions tonight if I can. If any questions come up that I can't answer, we will get an answer to you by tomorrow. And I just simply want to say, I know it's been a challenging year, and we have presented some things that have given you some opportunities to think about the support of the library. But I just want you to understand we've got some dedicated folks on our board that are committed to working hard to gain your confidence in how the library can be run and how the funding can be used from day to day. And we're working closely with Renita and the staff to get ready for this upcoming fiscal year. She's working to get the library open again in a gradual manner so that we can start serving the public again. And we're going to be working hard on that. So we appreciate the support. We appreciate whatever the town chooses to do for this fiscal year. If our budget proposal or budget requests, are not met fully, then the board will simply buckle down and figure out some solutions to what we're going to do for this upcoming fiscal year. And we will, work to stay in close contact with you and keep you posted on what's happening. With all that being said, if you have any questions about anything, I'll be glad to answer them.
Okay. Any questions for Jeff? Okay, Jeff. I don't think there are any questions from the council at this time, but thank you very much for all that you do. I know it's a very challenging time for you and your board, and we certainly respect that, and we appreciate you addressing us this evening, and we'll definitely consider everything that you've said and all the requests as we continue to work through the budget process. So thank you very much.
Appreciate it, Mr. Mayor. And may I ask just a quick question?
Sure.
As we go through this upcoming year, Renita and I were talking, as you plan your monthly meetings and all, if council would think it would be helpful for us to maybe do like a 5-minute presentation once a quarter to give you an update on what's going on at the library and programmings and patron numbers and things like that, we will be glad to do so. We don't want budget time to be the only time that you hear from us. And so if the council was open to that, we would be glad to do it. So just something we'd like for y'all to consider. Okay.
All right, Jeff, definitely. We'll take that under consideration. Thank you for that offer, and it's certainly something that we may take you up on. So thank you very much.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Y'all have a good evening and a good rest of the meeting.
Thank you, Jeff. Appreciate it.
All right. Bye-bye.
Okay, all right, moving on. Mr. Manager, I will turn it over to you so we can pick back up on our budget discussions.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is Mike Scott, Town Manager, for those people on the phone. We'll move on to item 4 of your agenda. We have several things listed here under item 4, which includes non-departmental, public works, general government, police, fire, parks and rec, track, Sarah Yard Center, electric and water and sewer funds, as well as fee schedule. Is there anything else that needs to be added to the agenda that any councilman would like to add?
Put on the agenda is the topic of the expansion of the water.
That's on the agenda. Did you say you want to leave it on, or it's under item 8?
It's an A. I didn't have page 8.
No, it's on the backside.
Oh, okay. I didn't see that.
Yep. Okay.
Any other changes? All right, we will add, the discussion about the business, why don't we add that, why don't we start with that? Go ahead and knock that out, Mike. Yes, ma'am. So if there's no other changes, I will need a motion to add that to the agenda under item number 1.
So moved, Mayor.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor? All opposed? And the motion was made by Councilman Wood, and I think seconded by Councilman Rabel, and it was unanimous. Okay?
Okay, Mr. Mayor. Yes, the businesses, how we're handling businesses, is that question, Councilman Scott?
Yeah, well, I don't mind telling you my concern.
Okay.
First of all, I just want to thank you for sharing the compassion we all have to success and want people to be safe during this time. I just wanted to get to talk with the mayor before on this topic. But anyways, I had several business owners call me personally, and I know they've communicated with others as well about the interaction with law enforcement. Whenever phase 1 come into play, the essential and non-essential things would apparently change. My concern is that I thought we had a prior discussion, and I know there's an email that exists that we as a council would support our law enforcement. At the same time, we did not want to encourage that kind of activity. I understand there's a law, I understand you may be violating it. But my real concern is that the police officers go into the facility where we're understaffed and talking with the business owners in uniform, in front of their patrons, whatever, really, at times, to me, that's unprofessional. It's real simple. I just want to know why that happened, and what if we can have some ideas of how we can solve that.
Yeah, I think I can answer those questions if I'm coming through. This is Mike Scott, Town Manager again. When the governor rescinded the last order and put in order 138 that went into effect 5 o'clock Friday, it changed the dynamic of what is an essential business and what isn't as far as his orders go. We had several businesses in town that were on stay orders, so they were operating on a stay order by the Department of Revenue. Those stay orders sunsetted at that time. So all we did was go out and let those owners know that they were sunsetting, and not a one of them realized. And that was all. There was obviously some questions back and forth. Don't know how all that went. I talked to some business owners on both sides of the fence who thanked us for coming out and were upset. We talked to them and told them that their order had been rescinded, but there was no more discussion than that, other than questions that were asked about what happens if I don't go back to, or don't follow the order, things like that, and there was obviously conversation back and forth between the officers and the businesses. And that was it. There was no more, as far as I know. Any other questions?
Just, I appreciate your response, Mr. Scott. I was told a different version of that story. I was told that they were there and a uniformed officer demanding the business shut down, threatening to take patrons to jail for not complying. I've done a lot of research on this, and I've talked to some other county officials. I've talked to some other officials in other communities. I talked to some commissioners from Apex. They recently had a case similar to this, and in fact, there was one of their patrons business owners decided to open the business, and in fact, went in the proceedings of going against the rules and was arrested. And this same thing happened in Texas. There was a salon owner there that done the same thing. She ended up in jail for 3 days. And I just think that we've got to apply common sense when we're applying the law. The case in Apex, I think, is a good example of why we should not do that. The case in Apex, from what the media portrays, speaking with the commissioner there,
I've been told they can barely hear you.
What can I do to change it?
You pull your phone over maybe to you.
Sorry, but we have a problem in completing your call as dialed. Please check the number.
Can you hear me now? The case in Apex that I was discussing, the actual commissioner shared with me that this business owner decided to call the media and call the manager, call the mayor. And I'll wait till y'all get that stuff figured out.
Sorry.
Okay. All right, go ahead, Councilman Scott.
So, as I was explaining, I do feel like it's a bad idea for our out and interacting with business owners in this regard. The case in Apex actually reflected negatively on the call. The business owner prefers that to be a resident. And we don't want that either. I know that we're limited here, but I just don't think it's a good practice for our business owners to be badgered by our police department. That was what was described to me as. And I would ask that we reconsider this. Not trying to tell anybody how to do their job, but the bottom line is that better? The bottom line is we need our law enforcement on the street taking care of criminals, not business owners who are trying to feed their families who've been established in the town for many years. I would ask the council to consider a directive. I'll take it a motion that we ask that the workload be removed from our police department, dealing with business operation concerns, and direct those to the planning department so that they can speak to them one-on-one, even on the phone, and explain these concerns to us so our business owners can know what's going on, be informed. Now, if there is a major problem, police, that's their job. But I think that should be our first approach about having law enforcement officers who may not know. Specifically, this one case, there was a discussion with the law enforcement officer whether we had child care or not, whether they were allowed to visit. That, they don't know, we don't know. The planning department should have this information, code enforcement should be able to handle it. I just think that's a good way to look at this moving forward in the future. Not just this pandemic, but if we have others that come up.
Sure. Go ahead, Mike.
This is Mike Scott, town manager. Only thing I will say to that is that code enforcement is a civil process. Violation of the governor's order is a criminal process. Two are separate. The code enforcement officer has no authority to enforce the governor's executive order. Only the police have that. Only law enforcement has that. It's a criminal violation. Any violation that they are looking to do anything with would always go to the district attorney's office first. District attorney's office would have to tell them what they believe should be done, and that letter of that law will be followed. Now, if you want plainclothes people to speak to them, so uniforms aren't going in there anymore, I mean, that's a different thing. Certainly can accommodate that. That's the way it's done most of the time. The chief usually handles these himself. But I just want to point that out, that this is not a civil process, this executive order.
This is how I understand it. It's not.
Okay.
You're talking about business owners who are trying to do what they feel like they need to do to feed their family. I think they could be notified by the planning department to become an ongoing thing, and perhaps the plainclothes officer to go out there. But this is communist at its best. America was formed on enterprise where you can be an honest ruler. And I understand the concern of other businesses saying, oh, well, they're open, you need to go shut them down. You know what? If I run a car lot and you run a car lot and I sell more cars and you're mad at me, that's your problem. And the bottom line is we just got to support these business owners who are in a trying time during this time, as well as our citizens. And I feel like it's not too much to ask. We ask the department to come into play.
But this is Councilman Wood, but Mike, what you're saying is they're not allowed to basically do that due to they're civil opposed to criminal. Is that did I understand you correctly in saying that?
They have no enforcement arm, or they have no authority to do anything with the executive order. They can go and speak to someone just like I can, or you can, or anybody can, but they have no authority, and they don't speak for the district attorney's office, which is the process that we currently have in place, is to countywide is to run everything through them before any charges get filed or anything. So, I'm not really sure, I mean, we have complaints coming in. I'm not really sure how I can refer someone who's complaining about a business that's open, filing the order to the planning department when they have no authority to do anything with it. That's all I'm saying.
Don't they have authority to know what business is allowed to do, what their business license says they can do? Our police officers don't have that information, because they're going out there and putting things on the table.
One is the executive governor's order, and another thing is a business license. They're very different animals. One's criminal, one's civil. Certainly, if we're talking about a business license issue, then we're talking about the planning department. But if you're talking about a violation of executive order, you're talking about the police department.
Well, Mike, I would just ask if we do this with courtesy and without reprimanding them. I think it's discipline this town the way this went down. I will rescind my motion, Mayor, and I do want to say thanks to the council, because I think we all have these concerns equally, and I'm disappointed that we didn't get to further discuss this prior to the time. The bottom line is our business owners deserve better treatment than what they're getting from Smithfield, and I would question, do we really need more police officers? We're already setting down. If they have enough time to make this a high priority, a low priority, which it should be.
Well, with that being said, Mike, is there a way that the chief possibly could make those, or someone in plain clothes in the police department? I'm not sure who wears a uniform, who doesn't. Pardon me for that, but I'm not sure. Is there a way we could do that to the business owners, that necessarily are in violation instead of an armed or a uniformed officer?
Yeah, that's not a problem to make that happen, sir. We can certainly do that.
Mayor, a few more comments. I would like to thank our police for taking corrective action. He called and discussed this with you. I don't know if he called others, but I think the second go around the message was received the way it should have been. In fact, the way it should have been delivered the first time. That's all I have on that topic.
Why, do I need to make a motion for that? You can just handle that administratively. Okay. Is everybody in agreement with that?
Yeah, I have a comment too, because I had a conversation too with the, Councilman Barber. I had a conversation also with the, chief about this issue, when I found out. My question though is, how many violations or write-ups or charges have been filed against any businesses in the town of Smithfield as a result of the violations of the governor's orders?
There's been no charges filed against anyone.
Okay. So all we've had is some threatening, some perceived threatening accusations. That's what we want to know. So the point is, the town of Smithfield, I just want to make sure people realize, the town of Smithfield clearly has not gone after businesses that might be violating the standard in any way. And I think that was something that we had all discussed in advance on how we might handle some of these situations. So it appears to me that it's not a policy issue for the town as much so as it is a disciplinary action or something that needs to be discussed with the chief, that the chief needs to take care of, and not necessarily a mandate from the council to do. Based upon my conversation with the chief, and based upon the fact that we haven't charged anybody anything, so that's just you understand what I'm saying, Councilman Scott? I think it's more of a personnel issue that I think that and again to Councilman Wood's thoughts. I think if you do let somebody like the chief or somebody of that nature handle these type of complaints or issues, I think we would. That's probably be the best way, because a lot of people are intimidated by police uniforms anyway. Whether they're nice or friendly, they still. Personally, I don't want to see them behind me in the car. I'm just saying how nice they are. So I'm saying that's a factor too. So I don't think people like seeing somebody like that come to their business So I think that works out well too. So I'd agree with Councilman Wood's suggestion.
This is Councilman Lee speaking. I echo what Councilman Wood and Councilman Barber say, but I just think it all just comes down to the delivery of, it don't matter if you got on uniform, plain clothes. I mean, it's just the delivery. I mean, you could be in plain clothes, and I could still tell you I'm going to arrest you, I'm going to do whatever, you know what I'm saying? Or you could be in your uniform, and you just kind of going about it the right way. I mean, it's the right way to deliver, bad news. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, plain clothes, or in uniform. I mean, when it all comes down, what's the delivery? And I think Chief Powell, because he and I had this conversation too, because I was thinking possibly someone from the code enforcement could do that. Then he explained to me. So, but I just think once he talked to his staff or whatever, the delivery, and I think the delivery can take care of everything. That's all I had to say on it.
This is Councilman Stevens. I'd like to go on record or whatever to back what Travis said, and I think it's a travesty that businesses can't be open. You can go to Walmart and Lowe's and be side by side, and if Governor Coker needs somebody to escort him to the Walmart or Lowe's on Saturday, I'll be here to show him, hey, look at all this social distancing. I think it's ridiculous. I think the salons, the barber shops, as I look around here, definitely need to be open, and I think we got better things to do than hurting someone's business. As far as the police department goes, I think that should be the last thing, but maybe if people wouldn't complain, then there'll be nothing to complain about. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, gentlemen. Again, I think Councilman Lee hit it on the head there. It's all about the communication and how the discussions happen. I have no idea. I wasn't present. So I don't know what went on. Councilman Scott, don't disagree. It certainly could have. I have no idea about that. If it did, certainly apologize to those business owners that happened to. But the reality of it is that we are in an unprecedented time, and the reality of it is I may not agree with it, and I don't agree with some of it, right? I think we can be opening up some of these businesses, practicing social distancing and so forth. But when it comes down to it, it's not my call, right? It is the law, right? And I am not going to sit here and say that we are not going to enforce the laws, okay? And I'm not saying you're saying that, okay? All right? So I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to instruct anybody in the town to do so, right? Because the law is the law. I may not agree with it, but I'm not going to say that we are not going to do something. Now, with that being said, just like Councilman Barber mentioned, we have not arrested anybody. We have not written any citations, nor do we plan on doing anything. The events that took place that have been referenced this evening were just exactly how the manager stated. They were a result of how the order changed. There are a few businesses within town, sectors of businesses, that we have had issues with. And when I say issues, they are violating the law, okay? Therefore, I get complaints, the manager gets complaints, and probably many of you get complaints from businesses who are those same type businesses who are trying to adhere to the law. And when I get those complaints, I can't just turn a blind eye and say we shouldn't do anything about it or we shouldn't have a discussion. Now, I've not instructed Mike to do anything, right? It's Mike. Right, and the police, right? I haven't instructed him as the mayor to do one thing. It's his job. It's my job to run the town from a policy standpoint and to run these meetings, right? So I just want to be clear, right, that I don't agree with a lot that's in that order, personally. But as a citizen and as a mayor, I'm going to adhere to the law. And if our police officers went out and did something and acted in a way that they should not have, shame on us, and we need to correct it, just like Councilman Lee said, and just move forward, right? And I'm not denying that those situations did not happen, right? It certainly could have happened, and if they did, as the mayor, I apologize to anyone that happened, because that's the last thing we want to do during this time. People are already on edge. People are wondering how they're going to save their business. People are wondering how they're going to feed their kids. Wondering how they're going to pay their utility bills and so forth. So that's the very last thing that we need to do. But we also need to inform those same businesses of, hey, there's been a change, and this is how the process works, right? So to my knowledge, that's the message that needs to be sent, is that, hey, this is the order, if you're in violation of it, we're turning that over to the DA's office and allow the DA's office to make any decision or any further enforcement action. And that's how it's been handled from day one. And most of the time, gentlemen, I will say, to my knowledge, I think most of the business visits have been conducted by the chief. I would say that's correct. I don't know what happened in this other case. He may have been tied up, may have been out of town, may have been away on vacation, whatever. I have no idea. But most of the time, the chief is actually visiting these, and actually feedback that I've gotten from him has been very positive feedback. Not all businesses are going to agree, right? We had communications from one of our state senators where he got a complaint on a business, and we had to react to it, okay? So that business at first I don't think was too happy, but then once some discussions were had, I think they finally maybe understood the situation. But just as we want to be sympathetic to those businesses, I just want you to know that we do have complaints from others who are trying to abide by the law and are saying, look, we're trying to do this, but then our competitors are not doing this. And so we simply can't just, in my opinion, just not go and at least have a conversation. Again, that conversation, the way that it was conducted, may have been an issue in these specific ones that Councilman Scott brought up. And if so, then yes, we need to do a better job. And so, Councilman Scott, thank you for bringing this up. I mean, it's definitely something that we need to take care of. And I know you're not saying, I know that's not what you meant, saying that we need to be breaking the law. I know that's not what you meant when you made your comments. I'm stating that, me personally, as a mayor, I am not going to say that we're going to do something. I'm not insinuating that's what you were saying, Councilman Scott, at all. I am just saying that I'm not, as a mayor, going to say that we're not going to enforce the laws of North Carolina. So that's all.
Mayor, I have one other question.
Sure.
I just would ask that you would, to us council members, to follow up with us when we put something on the table. Because I haven't heard from you until 30 minutes before this meeting, and I was actually getting ready for this meeting. I apologize for not being taken call in. But I think it's important for you to be able to see and hear, because we represent the community. That's all.
And that's fine, and I'm not going to get in a debate with you tonight, but you asked for a closed session, and a closed session under this circumstance is not allowed under North Carolina state law. And that's what you asked for, and that's why we have not had one. So I'm not going to get in a debate tonight with you, but it was not allowed under North Carolina general statutes, okay? So, yep. So I haven't gotten any threats of a suit or anything. And I'm the one that has to be served with a lawsuit, and the town attorney was not aware of anything either.
Please just give us a courtesy call.
Sure. Okay. All right. Any other discussion on this matter? All right. We will move on now to the budget.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have Greg Seiler, our finance director, here with me. We will move straight into non-departmental on page 6 of your budget books. This will also be on page 6 of the budget that is online for those people who are listening in, following this session. We have a few new requests, a few additional requests. I'm going to go on record, agreeing with the mayor that I have a significant concern about adding anything new to, this budget at this time. And I mean pretty much anything that's not in the budget already. We have no idea where we're gonna be come September or January. Our sales tax revenue comes in 3 months after the money actually spent. So, we're not going to know the last quarter of this year, this fiscal year, until September as far as how the sales tax revenue is being impacted. And we're not gonna know the first quarter of next fiscal year until January. So I would urge the council to take as conservative approach as we can as we go through some of these things this evening, starting with the non-departmental request. We presented you with a status quo number. Everybody was the same as they were last year. I would agree, Councilman Lee brought up during the last session that the Career and Technical Leadership Academy is part of the school system. They did not make a request last year, that's why they were not funded, but certainly I would agree that they should be funded with the other schools that are there at the same level. The chamber did contact us and has asked us not to provide them their $4,000 donation next year, but instead use it towards economic development as the town sees fit. That's their request. Certainly, you're not bound by that. So there is that that's not there. Other than that, I would recommend you leave this as status quo. I know the mayor discussed the Smithfield Rescue Mission, maybe doing something there, and if y'all want to discuss that, now's the time.
So, Mr. Scott, my question is, I'm looking at the lines, I wanna make sure that I'm looking at the right number that you're recommending. I see a requested number, I see 2020 adopted number, and 2020 requested number, and I'm confused exactly. I see the request is what people wanted, or is it what you put into the budget that you were saying, this is what your recommendation was? You see, that's what, I'm looking, because I don't think that's the case, so I'm trying to make sure I know which is the right number you're talking about. Okay?
Yes, sir, Councilman Barber. If you'll go to page 7 and 8.
Okay.
Those numbers there under proposed budget are the numbers I'm requesting.
Okay, you pointed us to page 6, that's why
Page 6 is a list of all of the requests, and there's some that are not on page 7 and 8. That would be all of your new funding.
Right.
The funding requests, or any additional funding requests. Now I can go through those one by one if you like.
So, okay.
Mayor, I have a question. This is Travis. Mike, the budget you developed under the code staff here is, in fact, already had a 15% reduction of expenses based on the numbers that are here. Is that correct?
The budget is balanced based on the numbers that are there. The 15% reduction was in sales tax revenues.
I'm talking about if you would cut the budget 15%?
No, we're cutting the budget about just under 4% overall. From what was projected to be next year without COVID, not from last year's budget number. But sales tax is our biggest concern, which was cut 15%.
We understand that, I guess, it could be a lot worse.
Certainly could be worse.
So Mike, page 6, the adopted 2020 is what really should be going by if you want a one-pager.
That's correct.
Okay. Thank you.
It's easier with
Thank
that.
you, that was struggling.
With the exception of, I would ask that we do add $1,000 to Career and Technical Leadership Academy, so it is being treated equally as the other schools.
All right, so anything in red is not in the 2020 budget as of right now. We need to vote on those to add.
Well, there's some other things that aren't in the budget on that column too, just isn't the red. The red is new requests.
Okay, I'm sorry.
As an example, if you look at Ava Gardner Museum, the second one down, the adopted budget is $22,000. That's what I'm recommending, but they requested $25,000.
Okay.
If we get 4,000 in the chamber, then we there as much as we will. But I will win my five spots and just stick together and then career council. That's 4,000.
You can, if that's what, you can, if that's what you choose to do.
This is Councilman Lee again, and pretty much what I said that night when we did talk about non-departments. I look back at the Triple S Robotics Club. That's been about one of the biggest numbers right there. That's $2,000 when even the school itself didn't get money. My daughter does not go to West Smithfield. My daughter's at Smithfield Middle, so I'm not vouching for somewhere where my daughter is, but I just think, if there is some extra money, because I see the need for West Smithfield, that if there's an extra 500, extra 1,000, just for this year, I would definitely want some money pushed towards them, because I definitely see the need, and it's nothing personal with me, but I just see the need. So if there is some, I'm going to speak up for West Smithfield.
And I thought about it. This is Councilman Barber. I actually thought about this a while also, and I agree with Councilman Lee. I think that for West Smithfield Elementary School, we probably should double that number from $1,000 to $2,000. I think it's especially because they look at what they also look at the activity that's done through that community over into our other part of our community. And with the feedings and stuff like that, I think that there's a need there that Councilman Lee brought out that I think is important, especially given the time that we're in right now. It might be something we do year to year, but and saying that, I also believe that we have to look at some of these other areas. I don't know if we're going to give $10,000 to the rescue mission, but I tell you, if somebody's not helping these people, then they're going to be doing something else. Don't put people in desperate situations, and you'd be surprised when we have to execute the low number of law enforcement officers busy doing something else, because these people have to do something to live. And so my point is, I believe we need to find some money to assist the Smithfield Rescue Mission, because they do great work. And I think that's something we need to contribute to. And the lady that came and presented us on the Reach Mentoring, the Reach Mentoring Ministry, was that the new ministry? That's also, I just think these organizations here that are specifically this year, it may be an additional cost to us, but given this year and we don't know the social impact that's going to come through all said and done. Because like I said, it's a possibility that come wintertime, in the mayor's comments that he had made earlier, the winter may be worse than it is now. And so I think providing something to these nonprofit organizations that's specifically targeting this group of people that need help, we need to be, I think our citizens would want us to help those, my point being. So my recommendation is that I think we could spend the rescue mission and give them $5,000. I don't know about the 10, but there's a lot of work they have to do. And they have two rescue missions, both the female mission and the male mission. And I'd like to see us include was it Richmond, or was it the Bright Spot? Bright Spot was also one that they had presented to us. I'm saying these are all very good things that's targeting a particular people that are down on their luck, that need some help. And I think we have the resources to help them a little bit. We're not gonna fully fund them, but I think that anything we do, they'll be appreciative of. So, I mean, that's just my view is, so, that's my comments.
Mr. Mayor, I would only point out to the council to be cautious that, remember that in order to receive money from the town, it has to be providing a public purpose. Something that the town would normally provide or would want to provide, but for some reason can't provide. So you're giving money to this organization so that they can provide that service. Bright Spot Ministries, as an example, is a little gray because of their community garden that we're already providing. So you're paying them to provide a duplicate service for what we're already able to do ourselves. So there is some gray in both that and the Reach Mentoring Ministry as to whether they meet the public purpose test. I'll only point that out. There's no way to know unless a lawsuit was ever filed and the judge made a decision. But it is an issue that I feel bound to bring up.
That's a valid point, and I think if it's a question mark for our town based on legality, I think we need to push that aside. That's something that we would need to look at maybe later on. I agree with that, but I think that especially the rescue mission, though, I think that's something we're not providing, and they are providing a service that our town could have to provide if we didn't, especially given the time. So, maybe right now I'm still okay with the $5,000 for them and not adding the other back. So I'm okay with dropping the two for the other since there's a question about legality, whether we can or cannot. That's something that we need to look at next year if they come back to us again to make sure that we've investigated that prior to. Because it's their job to present that information to us, not us to them. So I agree. So I'm recommending that we skip them and still keep the $5,000 for Smithfield Rescue Mission and the $2,000 for West Smithfield.
Well, I think if you're gonna give the West Smithfield, I just need to do it all for the other things. Because all these schools, they put this $1,000 down, and they didn't have the pandemic, they didn't know anything about the pandemic. They put this money down 3 months ago. Now, a lot of these people can't have a spirit night, fun night, razor night, and all, so this $1,000 is probably not even gonna put them where they were last year. We got $4,000 that we could put from the chamber. I like to double all of them. Like Marlon said with West Smith, I like to do the South Smith and the rest of them. Because they've not had any of these places to raise money for a spirit night or any of these fundraisers they've had, and none of them have been able to go on. And these games and stuff where they have proceeds and go to it, they've not made anything. I think we need to double all of them. That's my opinion.
I would agree, Councilman Rabel, especially if you're going to reduce 5,000 rescue mission. We got the money, Commerce, Chamber of Commerce, and we've also got the extra 5 there. So it don't be moving one line to another. But all schools should deserve that, and I agree. I mean, all the schools have done an outstanding job during this pandemic, and West Smithfield Elementary's done great. I mean, Triple S has fed students, if I'm not mistaken. I can't really speak for the middle school. I'm sure they have as well, but because I've got a son at Triple S, I know we're getting those Connect Ed calls all the time saying about food, and so I'm agreeing with you, Councilman Rabel. I think double all the schools, including the Career and Technical Leadership Academy, and as a new budget item, I think we should do the same there as well.
I would like, this is Councilman Dunn, I would like to clarify one thing. The Smithfield Rescue Mission 10,000 was not actually in the proposed budget, was it?
No, it is not in the proposed budget, and it is a new request. So that will be new money.
So our gain that we've had here is the Triangle East Chamber has relinquished their funds, withdrawn their back. So obviously the Career and Technical Leadership Academy, I feel, needs some money. I also feel the Smithfield Rescue Mission needs some money, and as tight as the budget's going to be, and with the uncertainty we forced deal with right now. I don't really, and as much as it's needed for all the schools, I just don't think we have it to double all of them at this point. We had $4,000 from the original proposed budget, and since that point, we moved 1,000 to career and technical, which, in my opinion, leaves $3,000 to divvy up somewhere, and I'd like to see Smithville Rescue Mission get at least a portion of that. It's been a long-standing organization in the community that does a lot of good. I wish we could give 10 to them. I wish we could give 2 to every school in the community. But I think at this point, it's just not, with the uncertainty we face, that it's practical to do so. So my suggestion would be Career and Technical Academy, maybe 2,000 for Smithville Rescue Mission, 1,000 if anybody else would recommend. That's just my 2 cents worth on this. But the 10,000 was not originally in, was my original understanding.
I'd like to just clear up one thing if there's any confusion. I recommended that we add $1,000 for the Career and Technical Leadership Academy so that they can be equal. They are not in the current budget at this time. That is, they did not receive funding last year, therefore status quo, they're not added to the budget now. So that would be an extra $1,000 that would go in this year. Just make sure everybody understands that.
So with the Triangle East 4 coming back into the budget, that would leave 3,000 to keep status quo.
Yes, sir.
Based on last year.
Yes.
Yeah, but my question, okay, so is the Innovation Academy in this year's budget, is that included?
The current year?
Yeah,
No.
This year, the request.
It's not in the current budget, it's not in next year's budget.
Okay.
Then you, this is Councilman Wood, then you take the 3,000 you saved, divvy it up amongst the 6 schools. That's $1,500 per school.
Mayor, if I may,
Am I all right, John? I mean, I appreciate you pointing out the 10,000. You're right. I didn't notice that. Is that correct? That's what I'm saying.
You said 6 schools?
Including the academy, right? Oh,
7 schools.
7. But then you would divvy up that extra 3,000 like 7 schools. However you do it. Each school is equally as important to this community.
When you put a value on each school, I mean, you can get 1,000.
That's what I just said. Every school is equally as important.
Well, why would you give one club in a school $2,000? I still don't understand that point there.
Councilman Lee?
This was back in 17, where we gave a club $2,000, but we didn't even get the school any money. So, I mean, here again, I mean, everything is not equal, and so we're not going to get into that. Everything was not equal, and everything, if that's the case, we should have gave everybody $2,000 that year. Yeah. This is the club, probably because we had somebody on the council, son was in that club, so that's my take on that. Everything wasn't equal that year, so, I mean, now we're talking about the equability. I mean, I don't get that.
Yeah, I mean,
equity versus equal, being equal.
That's a fair point. I mean, you know, I think we have the discretion, right, to give the amount that we want to give, right? Just like in 2018, we gave to the Triple S men's basketball team, right? So it's at our discretion. I mean, from that standpoint, I think. But Travis, I think you had a question or a comment.
I did. I just want to say I understand everybody's concern, and we're talking about a relatively small amount of money compared to our overall budget. I did have a question for the manager. When does this stuff generally pay out?
The money's paid out upon request. The schools would, or any nonprofit, whatever it is, would send us a letter requesting the release of those funds, and we release them as soon as we receive the letter. So sometimes it's at the end of the fiscal year, sometimes it's at the beginning.
So, Mayor, my question for the council, if we could consider just an idea, you know, again, priorities, what becomes a priority? This is off the top of our general operating budget. If we just agreed to whatever numbers the council agrees on and withhold that for 6 months, and then we can reevaluate, just because we budget it, and just let them know in a letter that we're planning to delay the payment contingent the outcome of the, current situation. That's just an idea, guys. I understand, you know, the schools and stuff need things. I totally support every single one of them. And I just want to agree with Councilman Barber. Personally been visited the rescue mission. It is a viable and a very, very critical thing during this time. The other one, which the lady spoke with us about, providing food and guardianship for children, that's also tremendous. But I just think that perhaps we could look at it from a perspective of, you know, agreeing to the numbers, but letting them know that we're going to delay contributions with the outcome of what our budget is for all of these. Because this is not, the town citizens becomes a priority. And it don't sound like it would affect $1 million, some of them not paying out to the end of the fiscal year anyway.
I would only ask for clarity if we're gonna go that way for the larger donations like the library. I know they want a monthly payments, cause that's the way they do their budget. I don't know if they can, if we're gonna give them the status quo amount of $270,000, they would have received $130,000 by January. I don't know if they can live without that money that long. And the Gardner Museum's kind of the same way. They have employees they have to pay and ongoing expenses. So you may have a little difficulty, and DSDC would be the other one. Those three are a little bit different than some of the smaller ones.
And I understand the concern, and that's why these agencies should have a reserve fund, just like we do. Because we're in the same situation. We're expecting revenue for the operations of the town, and we may not get it. It's that simple.
So, this is Councilman Barber. One of the things, just from a historical perspective, the reason why the schools even got added was because we all decided, we did not have every school request money the year that we added them all in 2019. We decided that we had this many schools in the city and the town, and so therefore we felt that we should be giving it to everybody and not just one club who might come. Because in the past, the only one we gave it to who came. And I think that year that they came only, and I don't think I was on the council at the time, the only ones that asked for money was the robotics club asked for money. It wasn't the other schools asked for money and didn't get it. They didn't ask for it. And so it's whoever asked for the money. We as a group in 2019 decided, or 2018 for the 2019 budget, decided that we felt all schools in our area were important, and so therefore we decided to give them all $1,000. And that's how it came about with the $1,000. It wasn't that they requested it. Then they came to show their appreciation when it was time for it, to show that they were appreciating what they did with their money. That's what they did. So anyways, I just wanted to have that known. The next thing is there's a little problem with the money. The reason why this money is important for the schools at the beginning of the year is because a lot of schools use that money at the beginning of the year to do stuff with their teachers and stuff that they can't do with other funds. You understand? As an educator, the budgets are tied to spending on certain things, and that is it. And spending on teachers is not something that the state or the county will do. So the schools need these extra money, this mad money, you could say, that gives them the ability to show their teachers and stuff, and that they can provide a luncheon or something like that to their teachers to come back to school. It's these people certainly appreciate the $1,000, but it's up front because they have teachers come back to school in August. So waiting till January, they're not going to be able to feed their teachers or have to find another way to borrow somebody to donate money. I'm just saying, budget-wise, we have to look at their perspective too. That's why they appreciate so much having this money at the beginning of the year, because they can use it. You know what I'm talking about, don't you, Marl? I mean,
I just want to say, Councilman, Mayor, and just manager, everybody, when I found out this year that West Smithfield, they do not have a PTA, and then I just think about it, you just think about the kids that go there. I mean, that's why. I work at Clayton High School. Beginning of the school year, we'll get gear, we'll get food, and it's different. It's different clientele. So that's the only reason why, I mean, because they could use it, because, I mean, them teachers over there, they work hard, they deserve, but I mean, as far as the PTA, when it's about 99% free and reduced lunch, them parents, they not gonna donate, that's the only reason why. That's the only reason why. I mean, them teachers, they really deserve it. So, that's the only reason why. My daughter was at West, I transferred over to South, there's a big difference, and that's the only reason why. Just trying to, at the beginning of the school year, they can't use that money, just being able to give them something, if it's a luncheon. So that's my only statement.
So I'm still recommending just telling you, like, my opinion, again, I think because I know we had a lot of discussion around here, so my opinion is still to keep the other schools at $1,000 and West Smithfield at $2,000 because of their lack of PTA and their lack of opportunity at getting the money. You understand? The other schools have a greater opportunity to raise money and to give money to their schools. West Smithfield does not have that same opportunity.
CTLA does not either. My wife works there, and they're having a big money trying to get houses out there for kids to graduate. That school's the same predicament. So I think all of them
Graduate,
or,
for kids that don't even eat, I mean, if they go to CTLA, they pretty much probably ride their own transportation also.
Well, they don't have a cap and gown. My wife just wore 2 cap and gowns that I paid for today, for 2 to graduate.
That's a little bit need and want. I mean, that doesn't mind.
I think it's important to have a cap and gown to graduate myself.
Before they eat food.
This money is going to go to teachers, is what I'm hearing, correct?
It goes to the administration. It goes to it goes, and again, they came and presented, but a variety of them said they were spending a variety of things. I think the one in South Smithfield said they were taking the money and putting it in their pool. They weren't even going to spend any money on it because they're still putting the money aside to build their thing, and they've been doing it for years. So the point is they don't need that money today, that they're trying to build up enough money to pay for a playground that they can put in there. So they're not spending for that purpose. But I know Smithfield Selma said they use it to provide for their food. I think West Smithfield said they used it for their teachers, the other activities. There were several things they used it for. I'm not sure what Smithfield Middle. I think Smithfield Middle said they used it for their teachers for food and stuff like that. It gives the schools the ability. I think one year News Charter used it to buy calculators for their students because they didn't have calculators. So, I mean, the point is it's up to the schools to spend their money the way they want to. Now, let me tell you, as a parent of a kid at News Charter School, the parents are involved over there almost in nausea. So the point is they're going to do what they need to do. If they'll ask for something, people will donate it. But not all the schools have that same opportunity. So I'm just saying, if the Career Technical Leadership Academy has the same type of problem as West Smithfield Elementary, I don't have a problem if we dump them the $2,000 too, if that's what they need. I mean, the point is, if we can provide something, we need to look at providing something to help these people, especially to your point that you made earlier. There's a lot of fundraisers that people do at the end of the year that they use for funds that carries them into next school year. And none of that was able to be done.
That's what I think.
At all the schools in town.
These people getting $1,000 is like probably $200 now because they lost all other to make money. It's just half what.
But as far as I know, the schools themselves are fully funded. The taxpayers of the state send money, and they pay for the teachers' salaries. Teachers' salaries are fully funded. The administration are fully funded. The schools are fully funded. I just saw the budget that they proposed for Johnson County schools. It looks like they're going to be well funded. So the point is, I don't think it's the issue of them having those type of resources. It's the additional things that are not covered by that. Things that they can't cover because they're not by law allowed to. That's why I use that money for those things. So,
Mayor, in efforts to move the meeting along, I would entertain a motion that we have the manager take these concerns under advisement, and he's heard the concerns, and bring us back something that's balanced with all the considerations, and also, if it's possible and doesn't hurt others, look at that delayed procedure and how that may help the town, if that's agreeable by the council. Because we got a lot of other things to discuss tonight.
This is,
I may, sorry, go ahead.
Councilman Dunn, I would agree, there's a lot to talk about, and all the schools are deserving. If we were to increase each school, all 7, to $1,500, and given $1,000 to the Smithfield Rescue Mission, that would only drive this budget to $1,500. All schools would receive $500 more, thanks to the Triangle East deciding they didn't need their money. And I really think the rescue mission's worthwhile too. I know everybody has strong feelings about schools being equal. Some schools need more. I understand that. But that was just one recommendation I would make for consideration. It does move the budget up $1,500, but all these are worthwhile causes.
Got a motion?
Can't do.
Motion if everybody agrees, but whatever.
I didn't even hear how much you said for the rest.
I just said 1,000 for the rescue mission. Bump all the schools up, 500.
1,000 to the rescue mission. Is that agreeable to everyone?
I'm not voting on it.
I don't really like it. I think given the economic situation we're in today, I think places like the Smithfield Rescue Mission are going to be critical to pull people out of their, to meet the needs of some really desperate needed people. And organizations like that are in desperate need, and if they're going to have financial problems like we are. And if we can't help them, they're going to have to get somebody else to help them. And I'm not sure how they're going to get the help, or they just go without. And
so what about giving the rescue mission $3,500, increasing West Smithfield by $500? Well, wait a minute though, we don't have the innovation.
You got 3,000.
Technical is wasn't in the budget either, so, yeah.
So you got $3,000.
Council could consider taking it from another line item.
that's what I was going to say. Can we just look at that temporarily, put that in there temporarily to see if we can find it somewhere else in the budget, somewhere else that we can knock off something? Because I think this is really important. It's not a lot of money in the budget, but it's a lot of money to those people who get it.
Well, it's not a lot of money. Let's just make a decision tonight. We keep pushing this off, and he's got to have a decision Monday night.
Let me ask a question, and I'm not saying so that's a very good point. So, we had a discussion about Christmas lights, and yes, we need to maintain those, but ultimately, when we really dug into that a little bit, it was that we really don't need new ones, right? That's $10,000. That is in this year's budget. So if you guys agree with that, we could take that money or reduce that money down to $2,000, whatever it be, and then I'm not saying we take $10,000 and spend $10,000 in for nonprofits, right?
Right.
Because I think I think all this is worthwhile, and it certainly is. And we all sometimes have places that we'd like to see it go, and I think it's all really, really good. But we also have to be careful with it as well, because it is nonprofit, right?
Right.
So we do have to be careful. So I'm not saying we take all of that $10,000 and put in here, but if you guys, we did hear the presentation, and then, like I said, at the end of that presentation, the bottom line was that we really did not need new ones this year. That's $10,000 right there, in my opinion, that we could go ahead, if you guys agree, and let's decide what we want to do.
I think it's a great idea. Because especially people might ask, what are we doing putting up new lights as bad as the economy is?
So if you guys are okay with that, then we just need to decide on the amounts right fast, and let's rock on. But that is somewhere we could take from.
What was that thing?
Was that?
Not just the Christmas lights, but
So what is that?
we can put money in here now. Not all of it, but.
No, he didn't say spend it all.
No, he just said I'm saying we have the money. No, I said we're not spending it all. I said we have the money we could use some in here.
John, was that a motion you put on the floor? I did make a motion, but
I don't think I had to have a motion.
you don't want a motion?
I don't know that necessarily need motions, right? I mean, as long as we all agree and direct him on what to do, I mean, obviously, we can make motions on all of this, but I don't think that's just necessary, right?
So let's start it. Rescue mission, with what Mayor Moore said, what do we want to give them?
I'd like to get a minimum $2,000.
I like seeing 35, I'm willing to go, I like to see 5,000, I'm willing to go 3,500. I'm willing to argue 3,500. I mean, that was suggested before, and I think $3,500, they can do something with that.
Right, you got 13.
Right.
Okay.
So, and then do we want to give the Career and Technical Leadership Academy money? I think we do.
Sure.
Yes,
right?
we do.
All right. So if we go with just leaving all the schools at 1,000 right now, right? Okay, 1,000. And Innovation Academy, we're going to include them. Is that correct?
Yes.
Right.
They're already included.
They are.
Innovation.
But see, that's what I was trying to, that's what I,
Career tech.
I specifically asked about the innovation, right?
It was late, couldn't get your stuff. Yeah, that's why it's not.
See, it's not written down, that's why I got up and asked you, right? Because what I was confused.
Right.
And I mentioned earlier outside of this meeting was, I thought they were, and when I looked at here, I was, wait a minute, no, they're not. And so I really meant your Technical Leadership Academy earlier, and when I sent my message out, right? So okay, so they're already in here, so we're good with that. And then if we increase West Smithfield to 1,500, then we got it covered, right?
And just for clarification, all the other numbers stay the same as far as the top of the list,
Right.
including the library, downtown development, senior services, Ava Gardner, and Annie B. John Enrichment Fund. We didn't change those.
Correct. Okay. Is that agreeable to everybody? At $3,500 to the rescue mission, $1,000 to the Career and Technical Leadership Academy, and then the $500 extra to West Smithfield.
I'm still going 2,000.
Oh, I thought you were asking 1,500. Sorry.
I said 2,000 for all four.
Why don't we do 1,500, look at the budget, find that other 500, come back and give it to them, right?
But we got it. That's what I'm saying. If y'all want to do that, I thought you just increased it by 5% last.
I see where you can put.
Okay.
I can't see where you can put school against school. I mean, these schools do so much for us. If you're gonna give one 500, not give them all 500, that's my opinion. Well, y'all got a opinion, you got a opinion, so what's the difference?
Wipe all the money, give it the whole 10 hours.
I would like to see, I still like to see West Smithfield,
Can you make a motion then?
I like to see West Smithfield $2,000, what I want, and the rest of them at 1,000, that's what I want. So, I'm just saying, that's my opinion, that's what I want to see.
This year, we'll have to reevaluate it next year.
That's exactly right.
But you understand that those of us who represent all districts will have to answer that
Sure.
to each school.
Yep.
What'd you say?
Yep.
And I will refer the questions back to anybody else. Okay?
What'd you say?
I said $2,000 for West Smithfield.
We gotta be, it's just, okay?
Yep, I can justify it, or I wouldn't have said it.
All right.
Whatever, it doesn't really matter. Those kids go to Triple S, and Triple S is in just as bad of need for money. Now, they do have a PTA, right? I was not aware that West Smith doesn't have a PTA. And they do get money from that, I'm assuming, because you do pay.
See, with the clientele, I just think that $2,000 for every school would be fair.
Well, you're not gonna get that, so just move on. We've got 10 items to talk about it. We're talking about pennies compared to the budgets. Let's just be done with it. Yes, I'm getting pissed off, so let's go.
All right, so what I'm hearing right now, guys, is $3,500 to the rescue mission, $1,000 to the Career and Technical Leadership Academy, and $2,000 to West Smithfield. Everything else remaining the same. That's already in the budget. Can we agree on that? I know it's not ideal, but can we agree on that?
Yes. I'll make a so move.
You can make a motion.
So moved. So I make a motion with $3,500 rescue mission, 1,000 to the Career and Technical Leadership Academy, and 2,000 to West Smithfield Elementary.
I second that motion.
Thing that you would.
Have a motion. Say who is who, right?
Yep.
Councilman Wood made the motion.
Councilman Barber, second.
That's why I was trying to stay away from the motions.
Yeah.
And we need them. All right, so there is a motion by Councilman Wood, second by Councilman Barber, to add $3,500 to rescue mission, $1,000 to Career and Technical Leadership Academy, and $2,000 total to West Smithfield Elementary. That's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Aye. And Councilman Rabel, I think, was the only one opposed. Councilman Rabel opposed. Motion carries. All right. Thank you, gentlemen. All right. So hopefully we can get to the rest without having motions. The reason I didn't want motions is because of just what we're going through right now. Certainly do them if we need to, or whatever. Sorry, there's some of your Christmas decorations away from you, sir.
Mr. Manager. Mr. Manager, before we move on, I have one quick question in the, general. What was the reason for the increase in the audit fees this year?
You just waited for Frank to walk.
Well, I know, but Lenny snuck in so fast, I couldn't.
Well, I can answer the question. It's the year-end reporting, that we have to do, the year-end budget amendments, the change in the law that says that our current auditor can't do those adjustments for us anymore. So we put money in there to hire a second auditing firm to do that for us. We may not need that. Our current auditing firm says that they are partnering with a second auditing firm, and they're gonna do each other's stuff, and not charge us any extra. So we're still working through that. But that's why the money's there. It was because of the change in law. We got a letter from LGC. It's to meet those requirements.
Okay, I was just wondering, it was kind of a good percentage jump anyway.
Well, we didn't know how much it was going to be. I mean, it is somewhat of a educated guess on it because we've never had this done before. But, we got those numbers from our auditor originally. That's where we pulled those numbers from, what they would charge us to get that. But then since then, they've come back to us and said they think they've got it worked out.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right, we'll move on to number 2, Public Works. I have Lenny Branch, the Director for Public Works, here with me. I'm gonna go through real quick, and again, I'm not recommending the council do any of these things that are here, A, B, or C. We did go through and do an analysis of our, expenditures for service work in the police department, the fire department, and the planning department, all departments that are not using the garage at this time. Based on our analysis, it would not be cost effective for us to go forward with that, hiring a mechanic at $48,000 versus saving $48,000 of labor only. We don't think we're gonna save that much money on the parts. We priced out tires, for example. We're getting them for black tires for the police department. They're the biggest tire user. We're buying them for $152 there. If we go online, try and buy them ourselves, they're $200.
Is there a state contract tire we can get?
That may be the state contract price, may be $152. I think that's where we're getting that price from. But it's going through Blacks, but they're using the state bid price. So, but my point is, you're gonna save a little bit maybe on the labor there, but you're still paying an employee. And the other concern I have, and this kind of goes on our discussion at the very beginning of our meeting, is if we're gonna take $50,000 of things that we could be using to support our businesses and hire an employee for ourselves instead, this may not be the best time to do that. Our businesses, some of them that are currently used to getting revenue from the town, probably have that built into their budgets already, and they're planning on using that money to get themselves back working again. So this may not be the best time to stop paying some of our businesses that are local to do these services and hire our own employee to do them. So I have a concern about that, and I would recommend you, for this year, you leave it the way it is and allow us to continue to service our vehicles the way we're currently serviced. The pressure washer for the garage, that was a $10,000 expenditure that we talked about. I still feel that that's an expenditure that we don't need right now. While it's a nice to have, I don't think it's a need to have. And I think we've been getting along without it this long, and I think we can continue to get along without it, at least for another year. I'm not on a page. I'm just looking off the agenda. But I can, if you want me to go to the actual budget, because these are items that are not in the budget. Yeah, Travis. These are items that you all talked about. You said you wanted to bring.
25 and 26 is where we're talking about with the garage thing where we're looking at, and the high-run water pressure. All that was under the garage comment.
That's correct.
But I understand too, given the economy we're in today, even though they're good ideas, good things, that maybe we can bring it back next year and look at it again. Because I mean, I think all of us would like to see that and see, but again, given the state of the economy, we don't know where we are. It's kind of hard to take a stance out there to that point. So I agree. I mean, it's a good idea, and I'd like to see it. A lot of great things we can do with it, but we just have to have Gary out there with some koozies out there with a brush.
And then the last thing there on our agenda is additional funds for street resurfacing. Any additional funds for street resurfacing is going to come out of fund balance. So it's up to you if you want to use that for this purpose at this time. I would suggest you do not do that right now, and maybe we come back and visit it in the spring when we're getting ready to do our normal resurfacing contract, which will be next year about this time, right?
Close.
When we get ready to do that, then we could look to see where we are to see if we wanted to double up or do something more for street resurfacing. And we could amend the budget at that time if we wanted to.
What time in the spring are you talking about?
We just now started the contract for this resurfacing project, so we would have to discuss it probably in February.
Yeah. It would definitely be getting the RFPs and all that stuff ready prior to it reaches around the 50-degree mark, because that's generally you don't want to pave that's much colder than that. So.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest complaints we hear is about our streets, and I know you guys work as hard as you can. You had mentioned before about taking out debt service and then letting the POW bill pay for that and do a larger project.
Yes, sir.
Could we look at that maybe for the future?
We can certainly do that. Like I mentioned, though, it does require a referendum vote of the public. It's not something the council gets to vote on. So we'd have to do it during an election year when we can put something on the ballot.
What statute says that because of the POW bill money, or are you talking about because of the amount of debt it potentially?
If we're going to use the POW bill money to make our debt service payment, the community has to approve it.
Okay. Well, I don't want to change anything right now. I agree with what you said, so I just wanted to make sure we knew what our options were.
Yep, absolutely. And so that's all we had for Public Works at this time. I've got Lenny here I didn't know if you wanted to discuss any of those items any further, otherwise I'll leave the budget as it is.
So other than taking the $10,000 for the decorations? Okay.
Right. Well, what I'll take is the difference between the 10,000 and what was spent. Unless you decide to use the rest of it on something else.
How much is left over?
I didn't add it up.
Well, next time we come back and you tell us how much we got, it's mad money.
Mayor, just one point I'd like to make, I understand that, I just hope that is just this year, because if not, that's essentially taking $10,000 out of our budget for those items and putting in, if we spend the same amount next year, we're short on the other side, so we do have that need.
Well, as Councilman Wood, I apologize, I stepped out and missed the mechanic position, but my only fear is when your mechanic goes on vacation or is out sick, on short-term or long-term disability, what's your backup plan?
Well, basically, luckily, we have 2 or 3 other employees within the department that are mechanically inclined, and we use them. Unfortunately, their primary job is usually a route or something like that, so we'll have to use those guys in the garage for the emergency repairs, tires, hydraulic leaks. Because, primarily the route has to be run. We have 4 routes in a week. We only have one down day, which is Wednesday. And they usually try to do different projects then. So we try to use those guys then to help out. The only problem is if you got a guy that's semi-trained and he's in there and he gets hurt, you can only allow him to do certain things. So that's how we've been getting by right now, is basically using other staff members to kind of step in if my mechanic's out or he needs an extra hand because of the equipment or the cylinders are really too heavy or, something like that. We've been using other guys to go in and help out. So.
But they are not, I guess, not to his expertise.
No. They're not ASC certified, and they've not been through the training that he's gone through. They're just basically, guys that's done it all their life, changing their own oil and stuff like that, and just helping in the garage.
So, I understand we don't want to add positions, but we got to take care of our equipment. So, keep that in mind. Not saying we can't come back and revisit that later, but if he leaves, of course we could replace this person, but there is no contingency plan other than non-certified mechanics, and you're operating on.
Yeah, we would have to outsource, if it's a technical.
I just want to make that abundantly clear. I understand we don't want to add, and I'm not saying we should or should not knowing what we're going through now. But we're putting our workforce and our equipment at an unfair advantage if we don't take care of it. And I just want to make that clear. Is that a statement that's clear and understood by fair assessment of what we got?
Now, one of the things, Councilman Wood, I don't know when you walked back in, I guess. But one of the things I mentioned was I thought it was a bad time to pull $50,000 away from our businesses that we're currently using and are probably counting on that revenue given our circumstances right at this time.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that, and I did miss that, and I apologize for revisiting that, but I just want to make that clear on the record.
Anything else on Public Works? We good with the manager's recommendations there? Okay. I think everybody's good with that, sir. We'll move on now to general government. Yes?
Yeah, the TextMyGov software, I think it's a good thing to have. I think it would benefit us, and I think it would benefit our citizens, but I don't think so at this time. It's not a lot of money, but right now we're trying to deal with $1,000 and how to spend that money. So I would recommend that we not do that at this time, even though I think it's something we should consider in the future, just not today.
Everybody okay with that? objections to that, I guess? Okay, seeing none, I think we're okay with that. Mr. Manager?
The next thing on our agenda would be the police department. Chief Powell's just now coming in the room and sitting down. I'm gonna have him go ahead with his presentation. Some of, the paperwork that you have is in front of you that he'll be using, this evening.
Thank y'all for allowing me to be here. Okay, I'm Chief Powell with the police department, and each of you got this. I printed it out. I'll read it for you. But I would like to thank all of y'all for allowing me a moment to speak about the salary adjustments that has been brought before you tonight. I don't know if you're all aware, but currently we're down 6. It says 7. But as of yesterday afternoon, the Housing Authority withdrew their contract with the police department, so we no longer have a Housing Authority officer. She will be taking that money to implement a new in-house employee. We still have 2 officers staying out there helping out. Kevin Smith will be one of the individuals, if so approved, will be promoted to sergeant in the next few weeks. So we're down to 40 instead of 41. We still have maintained our crime rates are down with our shortages. Even though our officers still have, with shortages, vacations, sicknesses, and deaths, we still have officers covering streets, covering all facets. It's actually, I've had to cover some shifts, captains have covered some shifts, investigators have covered some shifts, so took us all working together to get there. Today's environment about law enforcement makes it difficult to recruit new officers for all law enforcement agencies. It also makes it difficult to retain officers with experience due to them being able to go to the other surrounding agencies for more money and better benefits with less duties and responsibilities. With that, I'll be the first to say that all town employees deserve more money, but not all the job performances are as dangerous or demanding as the role of a police officer. If all jobs were the same, then everyone would be paid the same salaries. The police department carries the highest liability than any other departments in the town. We have the ability to take a person's freedom and in extreme cases, even take someone's life. In the past few years, the department has lost officers with at least 8 years or more experience. 10 of these officers left to go to work in Knightdale, which took approximately 76 years of experience to another agency. Within the last go-round, we lost 2 sergeants. One went to Knightdale and one went to Garner after the pay study. Reviewing the records, the last time the department was fully staffed was in December of 2017. We have been carrying an average of 2 to 3 vacancies a month since December of 2017. In 2018, we had 8 vacancies, and as of May 2020, we have 6 vacancies. And during this time, we've been able to hire officers, but we've continued to lose them to other agencies. The next one, you'll see that it says 41, but it's actually 40 sworn, of which 35 positions are fully covered by the town. Johnston Community College covers 100% of their 2 SROs. The middle school and the news charter cover 66% of theirs. That's just a little over $200,000 at those. I think it's $226 since the Housing Authority has pulled out because they paid $36,000 a year on their contract. If you've had time to look at it, it's the same draft that we presented earlier. It raised the pay scale draft raises starting pay up to $45,540, which is currently what Knightdale's starting pay is. This would also adjust the other salaries accordingly. This draft will affect 22 employees as well as the 6 vacancies. This proposal will only affect line-level officers and 3 supervisors that are below the minimum starting salary for their position. And it would roughly cost the town $174,000. The other 12 officers, which are supervisors or detectives, and of those won't receive anything. And those 12 officers have a total of 230 years of experience with those 12. This has been an ongoing discussion for years in every budget session. The council decided to conduct a salary study to address the issues during the year's budget. We were able then to persuade officers to stay and see the outcome of the pay study. After the pay study, numerous officers left because they didn't feel it was accurate or fair to the officers with seniority on the job. The town lost valuable years of experience after the pay study was completed. And again, they left to go to other agencies for more money. Some of them took demotions back to patrol officers. And with these staff shortages, we'll just keep wearing out the officers that we have, and we'll continue to lose senior officers and won't be able to have anybody to fill those positions. And with that, again, I would like to take the opportunity again to thank each of you for the opportunity to address this ongoing issue, and hope that we can work together to come up with a solution. And then there is attached is our current pay scale 2019-2020, public service pay scale, and then you'll see the attached draft pay scale. And with that, if anybody has any questions, I'll try to answer.
Mayor, I'd like to speak on the topic. Keith, I'd like to thank you for the leadership you provide to our department. We discussed this topic and it got put off to this time, and now we're in a different situation. My question to you is specifically about these numbers. You mentioned it would only affect 22 employees that were below the line level.
22 current with the 6 vacancies also, so it would be 28 all total.
And that would bring the bottom starting salary, I guess is the proper way to say it, up to what is acceptable by others, or what is comparable to others, I should say.
Yes, sir.
I think, this is Travis, and I talked to the manager about this, and in the past, and there was some concern on this council that it looked like it was a 10% everything, but I think you just said that, again, this is just to get those numbers so you don't have pay compression.
It still will be pushing us closer together with the salaries, but it will get our starting pay up. The older guys, officers that have been there, won't be getting anything, other than whatever everybody else gets.
I know we're in hard times, but I feel like the council should try to find a way to make this work. I won't make a motion since we're just talking about it, but I know
This is Councilman Barber. The question is, though, the benefit for the ones that's been there longer would be the ones that aren't going to get paid. Would their responsibilities can go back to being more of the supervisory stuff and not having to fill in the jobs now. So therefore they would still benefit from it because they go back to their original job and not having to fill in all these other jobs for their shortages, right? So I mean, it's still, the quality of work for them would still benefit because you'd be able to recruit the number of people you need to fill those positions, freeing them back up to do what they wanted to do when they got promoted. I mean, is that reasonable to say? So there would be benefits to those that didn't get a salary raise anyway because their job goes back to more what they were supposed to be doing at the pay rate that they were getting paid. Correct?
Correct. Currently, right now, we have lieutenants, sergeants. I mean, even I'm taking calls, taking reports. Captains are, sergeants, detectives. We're all working together to keep it going. And I mean, I can break it down. We currently have 2 patrol positions vacant, a canine position vacant, a detective, a narcotics detective, and the COT position is vacant. And we've actually been carrying, the narcotics division has been short the whole year because one of my narcotics officers was recalled and he's actually in Afghanistan. Has been for the whole year. Hopefully we'll be back sometime shortly.
Now, all those positions are positions that would increase salary with this?
No, because we'll take the ones that are below and move them over into the current. Most of the patrol positions will be brand new positions from officers coming in, and then we'll move other people up.
Okay, so let me back up a minute. May I ask the question in a different way? So out of the positions that you've got that's open, how many of those positions' salary would be adjusted by this? No.
28.
No. Out of the ones you said you're missing these people, these positions are open.
I
You know what I
think
mean?
22,
No.
Councilman Barber,
Do you know what I'm trying to say?
I do. The detective positions are not filled because we don't have people to fill them, but they'll be filled from inside. So they won't be impacted by this pay scale change. It'd be the people that would be the backfill for those positions would be the ones that would benefit. Some of these positions aren't being filled simply because we don't have the bodies to fill them without taking them off the street at the line level, and we can't do that right now.
So the point is that those positions, that salary change does not change, those employees still will change salaries because they'll get a promotion. So even those that don't get a pay raise can get a pay raise because the position they go in is paying higher than they're paying now. So there are more people that's going to get pay raises than just the ones, because those that take those positions that don't actually, the job doesn't get a pay raise, they themselves will still get a pay raise. So there's a larger number that will actually get a pay raise than what you said originally because they'll fill those other positions. Is that correct?
It's correct, but those positions are already in the budget.
I understand that. I understand, but we were talking about the number of students, number of people would not get a pay raise, and that number's not correct because if they're anticipating them getting those positions, then they would get a pay raise. It wouldn't be added to the cost of our budget, but the individuals would get a pay raise. So they're saying 12 would not get a pay raise. Well, that's not necessarily true because if they're bound to get a position that's got a raise, then they themselves would get a pay raise.
The 12 that are getting pay raise won't get anything other than the cost of living or whatever because they're supervisors and they're already promoted into other positions.
Okay, so you've taken into consideration that already. That was my question. Thank you, sir.
So essentially what you're doing is changing the minimum start for each classification. And a lot of the guys are already over that classification, so therefore it's not going to have an impact on their salary, unless they take a promotion to the next level.
Yes.
My question is, Mike, how can we fund it?
I'd recommend you not fund it until at least January when we see where we're at.
Chief Bell, I appreciate what you do, and I think many of us said that tonight, and we all feel that way. In your exit interviews or in your recruiting process, and I'm assuming that is the process you guys recruit, you've already made mention of one that you filled yesterday maybe. Why can't we fill positions? What is the main reason? Why are they leaving? It can't be all about money. I cannot believe that every person we have leaves because of money.
Pretty much because of money. That's in their exit interview because we lost 2 sergeants just recently who one went to Gardner, one went to Knightdale, back as patrol officers. One got an $8,000 pay raise, one got a $5,000 pay raise, and they both got take-home cards. So it's
you can't have it all here.
No, you can't. But it's
It's a totally different ballgame than us, right?
Yeah, Garner's got a bigger tax base, and Knightdale's population is 17,000, around 17.
Unfortunately, I don't have any other answers other than that's mostly what's
I'm asking because I'm not as vast professional like you.
And I'm not including in the 2 recruits that we have in BLET right now because hopefully, if everything goes good, they will take the state exam May the 26th.
Right.
Put us to 4.
Okay.
And we do have 2 backgrounds running, and if everything goes good with those, we're getting those numbers down. But it's just I hired one not long ago. Before his paperwork hit training and standards, he turned in his letter of resignation. Brand new, he had 2 years in New York. He turned in his letter of resignation and was signed up with Mooresville.
and he got a $10,000 pay raise, you know.
Again, that's awful. We are.
But, thank you.
How many, so these positions that you have open right now are are they posted? Or?
They're not posted, no, because we're not filling them, well, the patrol positions are posted, yes, but
When do they close, do we know? Are you keeping them open?
Keep them open.
So, do we have applications in on them?
We have, right now, we have, 6 applications. Now, we've had more. I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and look at you guys and tell you I can't fill them.
Right, and that's
But
what I'm getting, right? And
how
I'm not-
low do you want to drop standards down to hire people?
I'm not asking you to drop your standards by any means, but I guess my question is if we're posting these positions, people know when they apply what the starting salary is, and are we getting applicants? Regardless of whether you go through the vetting process or.
Not as many, no, we're not.
The question is, are we getting applicants at all? You know?
Very few. It's sporadic, but very few.
You said you lost one in the corner, one in the Morris, and one in the night down. Is that what you said, looking?
And the previous, I don't have Garner's with me.
Okay, I can look it up.
I could look it up and give you
I'm
a
saying
copy.
if we do this, how's it going to retain officers, is my question.
Well, if we
will this actually retain officers, is what I'm trying to say. Because it sounds like you're making more money regardless in bigger towns than what we're offering anyway. So, and I'm not saying they're not worthy. Understand me loud and clear. I'm not saying I'm not worthy of paying up police officers. That is not my question. I think you're obviously one of the most important parts of our town. But
it will help.
Is this gonna retain people that are on the fence? Is it
Yes.
take home cars, let them go? I'm trying to figure out why we're losing people why we can't retain them. You said you had one, didn't even process the paperwork and turn it.
Money is a big thing with this generation this time.
Okay. I'm not.
It's very big. I mean, they don't consider all the extra added into it. They just see what they take home, and that's the way they look at it.
Okay. Thank you.
So can I ask, is there a way we can not go all the way, but go some of the ways? I'm just saying, is there a possibility to do something to give good faith that we're making an effort in understanding our economic situation that we just don't know is going to happen this year? We just don't know. I mean, so is there a way we can show good faith by at least move the dial some in that direction? Maybe not turn it all the way on, but at least push it to show them that we are thinking about it. We really want to do more than we can do, but we can't do it so much. I mean, just saying, is there a way?
I'll have you bet.
I'll give you my opinion, and the chief can give you his. I had this conversation with Councilman Dunn a while back. This isn't about money. This is about recruitment and retention. What you need to do if you want to hire more police officers and you want to retain them. If you want to do that, you need to pay them. Paying them halfway is a waste of money because it's not going to get you where you want to go. All you're doing is just giving people raises. And I disagree with that. I don't think we should give people raises. But I think we need to raise our pay scale so that we can retain people and that we can recruit people. And not, Councilman Lee, and we've had these conversations about recruiting people so that we look like and we act like our community, our demographic. And we can't do that with what we have. We can't. We have rolled over every stone, in my opinion, that we can roll over, and we can't make it happen without paying them. Councilman Scott asked me how do you pay for it. My answer was, I think you wait until January and you fund half of it. But I also think you freeze 2 positions to make sure that you can pay for it. And then you look at it and see where you're at. Because I'd be a whole lot happier. I don't know if Chief can speak for himself, but I'd rather be sitting here in front of you being 2 people short than being 7 people short or 6 people short all the time. This isn't going away.
So then the question is, could we, out of the 6 position, could we freeze 4 positions and give them what they want? I'm just saying, I mean,
But
could we freeze 4, if we could freeze 2 positions in the middle of the year, could we just freeze? That's right, then we won't lose what we got, and we'll still have room for 2 more people.
There is another option, is we cut all the SROs and put those back on patrol, and we won't be short.
But then you're giving up the revenue.
But you're giving up the revenue from that portion, but there's one, you know, one alternative. Not an alternative I want, but it is an alternative.
Mike, Keith, I have a question. This is Travis. What is our minimum staffing level? And do you offer the guys, since you're short, the ability to get overtime?
We usually have about 40, our standard budget for overtime is 40,000, and I think I've got about $6,000 left this year. And that's, you know, we've used it a lot. We do offer overtime. We haven't offered as much overtime because we are so short-staffed, the guys just get tired of working. But normally, a patrol shift is a lieutenant, a sergeant, and 4 officers. Right now, it's mostly, two squads have a lieutenant, a sergeant, and 3 patrol officers. And 2 squads have a lieutenant and 4 patrol officers. So, you know, which hopefully in the next few days, once we get the agenda for next week's budget or council meeting, that will be taken care of, and my promotions will be in place, and I'll have some people there to fill in for those supervisors.
So the other thing I've noticed, what? Did I miss something? The salaries and wages, we don't have a to-date number, but it says that it's proposed as 2.194 with a negative 1% change. I believe that's because you are down staffing. The adopted budget for the last year that we were told this book's balance on is $212,000. So from my perspective, this is not something that's paid in July.
Right.
There is money there to fix this problem, but it will be more ongoing in the following year if we get it filled. I don't understand why we can't have a plan to fix this. I mean, you're not gonna increase any line item until next year. And you said January. I mean, if we went ahead and implemented it tonight, and those positions can be filled, but it's not fair for an officer to come in making more than one of your other staff, so you need to go ahead and make the adjustment. But we're not going to see that large number until the physical year is completely closed.
The other thing you can do if you want to, and this gets a little bit messy budget-wise, but you can carry over the surpluses you have to pay for next year.
Well, it would be nice if we had that data of what we've carried over the past few years.
Well, we don't carry anything over. It just goes
not
back.
all spent.
It goes back to general fund balance. Anything that's left over. So I can tell you there's enough money in the line items to carry over to pay for the $174,000 for next year.
Chief Powell, I have just a couple, this is John Dunn, Councilman Dunn, by the way. I have, just a couple of quick questions for you. What does the sheriff's office start at term? You know?
It's a moving target.
Yeah, it depends on, it depends.
What they need?
That's a political position.
But it's about 40, 44, 45, I think it's 45-ish.
So roughly where would you want to be? Okay.
Yeah.
The other question I have is, as far as, I know you have open positions now, clearly, but as far as your total positions now versus 5 years ago, is your staff the same size, or ideal staff the same size, or is your staff grown? Just use fire department.
It's still the same size.
Positions have been added here.
We've not added, we've only added a COP position.
Okay, so it's roughly the same size department.
Community-oriented police position.
the police department lost positions back in 2010, 11. They gained one of those back as and they gained one civilian back. So they're still less than they were 10 years ago.
Well, at one time, we had 7, instead of 6, we had 7 per squad, and we lost 4.
What are our SO, this is David Stevens, what are our SRO officers doing now that school's not in session?
They're on the road. They're filling road positions. And actually, one of my SROs, when the COVID stuff went in and quit, he's done a very good job. He's been over there for 2 years. He has actually opted to come back to the road, so I'm going to have to fill that position with someone else. But they are on the road working, except for the 2 college SROs, and they have them year-round. They stay over there year-round. But they're both on squads, filling spots.
This is Councilman Lee speaking. I definitely echo the work of the former chief, town manager, and the current Chief Powell. I'm just thinking, if we do push and wait to do something in January, I mean, this is my personal opinion, I think if the officers don't see that we're doing something kind of right now, about ready to take care of them, I think more will leave. We keep pushing it down and, a lot of times we're talking about keep pushing the can where if we're not doing anything for the officers, and, we'll end up, it's this same circle, always going to be down. And just keep in mind, 10 of the officers went to Knightdale, and I'm pretty sure, just like in anything else, they probably can recruit each other, well, y'all not getting into Smithfield, come over to Knightdale. So, of course, the biggest thing, we do have to fund it, but, we just need to show the officers, this is safety. This is our safety. This is something we definitely need, and if it takes, the chief, takes him from getting off the road, and maybe he can get out and recruit, do other things, and, so definitely they're not getting paid, but it's the opportunity cost. Now you have the opportunity to do other things. You're not tiring yourself out. So, we got to push forward and do something.
We've actually this year been able to get in at Wake Tech to do some recruiting. We've been to Rocky Mount, up to that school. There's been several schools that Shepherd has been to personally. And back, Mayor, what you asked a while ago on our applications, Shepherd's listening in, so he's kind of helping me out because he handles all the applications that roll in. We've had 6, and 4 of those have no BLET. So that's mostly what we're getting is applicants with no BLET wanting us to send them to school.
And when you do, you have them for 5 years? So if you do
Contract
get
is
one
for
out of
5
that
years.
effort, you've got one for 5 years?
Yeah.
Or are they trying to have to pay you for the...
And I think we're going to get both of them. They've both done, I will say that out of all the times we've tried this has been the most successful. They've failed no tests. One was having some issues with the physical fitness part, and that's not an issue now, so I'm looking for them to be on board very shortly.
So again, Mike, am I correct that the budget reflects about $194,000 in surplus money because of the lack of...
Because of what?
Because we're not fully staffed?
That'd be about right.
Mayor, I put a motion on the floor that we entertain this and stop kicking the can down the road and do this plan effective July 1st.
Second.
Okay, a motion.
Motion and a second.
Before we vote, I'll say one thing though. I wasn't here for the last, say, or I think, before I come on. Moving forward, if we do a rate study, we're spending the taxpayers' money, we get such a poor, from what I understand, it was a poor reflection of the police department, right? And that's why he's had to come and ask for more money. I think that was a waste of money. If we're going to do one, we need to do a better job next time on a rate study. Number 2, is this going to be an ongoing thing, Chief? Do you think every year we're going to have to say Knightdale raises or, what I'm saying is,
That's hard to say. It depends on
yeah,
how...
but what I'm saying is we can't every year adjust, and I'm not I'm not implying that you would do that, but to stay competitive, we can't do that every year. And again, that may be a crazy question to ask.
I think we've stayed competitive in our increases. We just
Haven't been competitive to get to that. We haven't got to that point.
got to that point.
Okay.
Well, can I speak on that, Mayor? Sure. So, Roger, you got a very valid point, and I totally understand what you just said. And I don't know that you're thinking about, is the competition with other departments gonna be ongoing? Is that what you just said, kind of, sort of?
Yeah.
In other
What I'm
words,
saying is we're losing people now, and I know we're not at the baseline. So if we get to the baseline, what you're saying, and then we continue to lose people with these agencies because of $1,200, $1,500, well, we can't do this every year. And that's my question to Chief Powell. We can't do this every year because in that case, we're going to be spotting every department that's going to.
I'm going to kind of answer that question, Councilman Wood, in this answer. And it might be kind of on my side of a little bit selfish. I've been here 26 years. When I started, starting pay was $17,800. It's gone up $21,800 in 26 years. Starting pay has.
So I wanted to finish my comment. No, it's fine. So I think one of these things, and we've had this discussion, and you talk about giving a raise. Most agencies give a cost of living raise and a merit raise, and they split it between the percent you're going to give. The reason I bring that up is a merit is based on totally performance. That does not affect the salary of a new employee. That is the problem why we're sitting here right now, because we continuously give merit raises, which is great, but the COLA brings that bottom line up. For example, that 540 minimum, if we put a COLA in, it would tweak that. You see what I'm saying? It would. So that is part of the reason. But it's not wrong. Andy and I have talked about this. You want to base merit, you want to base it off of performance. But that's kind of where you see a lot of agencies doing a percent COLA and a percent merit because of that bottom line.
So hopefully if we get to the baseline, our retention, our officers will be better.
Because keep in mind, Roger, if the max salary is $50,000 and you give them a merit, it doesn't go up. They only get a percentage.
I get that.
So, same thing happens on the bottom end. That's all I was.
I understand. I got it. I appreciate the explanation. Thank you.
Can I make a suggestion though? Is it possible you could amend your motion to allow to instruct the town manager to take the excess that he did not spend this year that he said would more than likely cover it in the budget item, and instead of rolling it into the general fund, use that money to offset it this coming year? Therefore, we don't have to increase our budget items because we're taking the money we've already budgeted. It just doesn't go into the extra fund. It's covered already. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes,
that way we don't have to add it to the budget for this year because we've added the money. Then we will have more. We anticipate the thing not lasting for 2 years, right, this economic situation, and therefore we don't impact our budget that we've got, that he's already got in place, and still is able to do it because, to your point and to his point, we've got the money in the budget that we just didn't spend this year that can more than cover that. So I'm saying if you do that, then we can direct him to do that instead of just putting it in there and having to put it in the budget.
That's fine.
So you willing to make that change?
I mean, it's pretty much clear. I mean, that's kind of how it goes anyway.
Well, but it goes to the general fund and then he has to put it in the budget. The problem is that he'll show that money coming into the budget and start off with, so it doesn't take away from the budget because you're adding the money back into the budget, not the general fund. So it makes your balance number the same as it was before because you understand what I'm saying? Am I right?
Yes, but I'm fine with the council making that motion and following up on that, but I have the authority to do that myself. And
Okay.
that's what I was
I just want to make sure that it didn't, because we don't want to increase our, without taking it over. That's my concern, if we could. Okay.
I agree with Councilman Barber that you want to amend your motion, but again, in light of us raising our baseline, I do expect, and I think every taxpayer and every councilman here would go along. I expect the retention policy to stay to get better. And if it doesn't, you've got to take a hard look at what's really wrong. And I know right now you say it's monetary, and I'm not arguing that point now. But when we raise that baseline, I want improvement. That makes sense.
Keith, I've got a question. Is your draft, this, base building accurate now?
Mhm.
Because, where's your 12 officers that don't get in? Like me, all these guys are getting more with the draft than they did with the ones like police captain.
Yep.
And then on 68, it was, 59.
Well, that's a good point.
They're already over that.
He's already over the base.
He's already over the base,
Okay.
so he won't get anything.
They've earned that.
Okay, all right. Trying to figure out where 12 guys are. Okay.
I do have just one more question, this is Councilman Dunn again. Roughly, using round numbers, about $200,000 more or less, 190 was the number, is that correct?
That's extra in this budget that wasn't spent?
That's extra in this budget.
Yeah, it's about that, about 194.
And the total cost of the proposed salary increase would be
170.
174. That's gonna roughly increase, and for this year, I see it, I understand 1 year it needs to be absorbed by last year. But going forward, that's gonna be roughly a little bit less than 10% increase in the salary. And that hopefully, if their retention works out, will be ongoing forever. And then you'd also have a possibility on top of that going forward. I think police officers do a great job. I know in the past, when there was a lot of officers leaving, there were some decisions made about facial hair, the ability to take home cars. I know not many people are utilizing that at this point. So we've tried some other things to make people happy during the day in Smithfield. Apparently that's not working. Perhaps something else needs to happen, but this is just, for this 1 year, it seems like an easy fix. But I'm just concerned that going down the road in the future years, what this may lead to. And I know right now everybody's worried about this year's budget because sales tax can be down. We know that. We don't know how much. But I don't think next year things will be back to normal either. I think you'll see a long-term change in the way restaurants operate, the way a lot of businesses operate. I don't think it'll go back to the way it was for several years. And that's just a concern I have. I can't think anybody more deserving than a police officer to get a raise, but I don't know that it seems easy this year for a fix, but I'm just concerned about the long term of making that decision right now. Until we can get a better grasp on how things are going to play out.
Any other further discussion?
Travis, are you gonna amend your motion, or are you gonna rescind that to make another?
The town council, the town manager said that he could take it upon himself to do it without having to amend the thing. So he said he could do that anyway. So we don't need to amend it.
So what, I'm sorry, what was that?
He's talking about, he could take the instead of rolling the money over into the budget, he can just hold it out and put it into this budget instead of going to general fund to offset it so we don't change our thing. But he said he can do that, he can take the liberty of doing that.
Councilman Scott's motion.
No, it doesn't, well, they wouldn't.
With July first, I heard your motion.
Correct, and I second.
There's a second.
We didn't get a vote on that.
We're still in the discussion phase right now.
Yeah, the money, eventually will come back to you in the form of budget amendments to carry that money over, so.
So, I mean, I too, don't disagree that this needs to happen.
Bad timing.
Right, but as I've expressed, I'm extremely concerned about what's gonna happen. So I've lived through it, right, on this council. I've lived through those tough budget times and I know we're sitting in a really good spot right now. That's because of the hard work that this council has done. But we don't know what the future holds, right now, unfortunately. We've got businesses that are closed, not generating We don't know if they're gonna be paying their utility bills. We don't know if they're not generating any sales tax, obviously. We don't know if they're gonna be able to pay property taxes. We don't even know if they would be in business. And I'm really concerned about a lot of our tax base is right out at the Pottery. I'm not sure if you've ridden by there lately, it's starting to open back up. But I'm concerned that a lot of those businesses, not a lot, that some of those businesses will not be able to recover and will not be opening back up. So I'm timing wise, I think, I really am, that does concern me, because and again, I don't know what the state is going to do with money, right? Those taxes are down statewide. I've lived through where the state has withheld our money, right? And it was a huge impact. So that's just my 2 cents. Do I think we need to do it? Probably so, but I'm just not convinced that raising our salaries is going to do that much for retention. And the reason I say that, thank you, sir. The reason I say that is I spoke to a retired police officer from another town, and he said, well, you guys raised y'all's salaries such and such, and that seemed to help. Well, then guess what? To your point, all the other towns raised theirs up. And then all of a sudden, we started, because you guys raised yours, you guys were staffed up, and then everybody else raised theirs, and the competition just rose to the level. So I think we'll continue to see that. I think we are comparing our salaries to towns that are much different than Smithfield when we're looking at it. I'm not saying that they don't deserve the money, don't deserve a raise. I'm not saying that at all. I'm not so sure that what we're comparing to for apples for Smithfield, right? Maybe some of our officers went to these cities that you looked at. But there may be other reasons for those officers that went there. So I certainly hope that this does it. But as Councilman Dunn said, is that we were brought, and rightfully so, right? We tried a lot of things, right? We were said, okay, well, we've got some really good people, but we don't allow tattoos. So then we started allowing tattoos, right? We got some really good people, and they just don't like no facial hair. They're going to leave because of that. And we allowed the facial hair. Then we said take-home cars. We allowed take-home cars. We allowed them to be flexible with their uniforms, right? All of this was part of a retention. No time was the salary related, right? And I guess now we're just at the end, and it's now salary related because that's the last step that we can go to. But again, I'm just concerned about it, not against it. I'm just concerned about what it holds at the time of it. But that's just my 2 cents worth. And I would caution. I know this is what you're proposing here, but I would caution to make sure that we understand those numbers, right? If I go look at what Garner's minimum salary is, right, compared to what we're proposing or what our current minimum salary is, I don't know what that is, right? But I'm just saying, I hope we've done that type of research, because what I'm hearing is that we're losing our people to those agencies. And when we asked tonight what those minimum salary was, and we don't know, then have we really done the research that we need to do in order to retain our people? So that's all I got. All right, we got a motion. We got a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Councilman Dunn opposes. Motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen. Chief?
Thank you.
Thank you very much for all that you do and all that your officers do. Hopefully this will help your... That's right.
I do have Garner's in here, I just don't have it at hand.
Average value is $43,000.
So thank you.
Thank you, sir. It's not an easy job. We certainly understand that, and we appreciate all that you do and all that your department does. Thank you very much.
Hold on just
Mr. Mayor, I'm just checking, our next, person is for the fire department. I don't know how long you wanna go tonight.
Yeah. It is, about 10 minutes till 9, gentlemen. Okay, fire department, Parks and Rec. So one thing that we could do, I'm not so sure that, we can talk about it. I'm not, now that we've worked the kinks out, it may be okay. I'm not so sure this is the best setup, right? But Monday's meeting, there's not a lot on that agenda. We hopefully should be able to get through that agenda pretty quickly. And we could pick up budget discussions at that time if you guys would like to do so. Now, that is currently slated as a conference call, right? But I'm not so sure if the council chambers.
We can still meet like this and have a conference, it's gonna be a conference call for the public. But if you wanted to meet.
Yeah, it seems like it worked better in the conference room. It's from a conference call standpoint when we were there. That's what I was thinking. Maybe we could kind of do the same thing, spread out in the chamber. I don't know. I'm just throwing out. I don't know. Maybe it's fine now that we worked the kinks out. You know, I know we had some issues at the very beginning of this meeting, but it may be working fine now. I have no idea. But if we kind of meet face to face, I think we will do that, and we'll probably just advertise it, or do we?
Yeah, we'll advertise it just to get the word out that we're doing this, but.
Yeah.
Still need a conference call for citizens.
Correct, yeah, citizens, we still
Still gonna be a conference.
we still have the restrictions in place. But if you guys wanted to meet in person, then just a conference call. So that's what it's currently slated for, is just a conference call for Monday night. So I guess I'm asking, would you rather stick to a conference call for Monday night, or would you rather meet in some type of setting like this?
Conference call.
I prefer this also. I like seeing people's facial expressions.
Really? All right, you have a preference either way? Okay.
As long as it's pertinent, it was a catastrophe to begin with, so we need to make sure it's all kinks are worked out.
We'll continue to work it.
Conference call isn't that bad, so. What?
All right, so
I didn't hear what you said.
What I'm hearing is that let's meet Monday night, and we will meet in person, and we'll have a conference call. Here?
Yeah, here.
Just, you tell us.
Just do it here.
Just across the street, one of those.
Yeah.
I'm concerned about just having one phone, which is what we had at the last meeting, and having everybody be able to talk and hear. I think you're gonna have to have individual phones, and we don't have that capability over it.
That conference phone should have mics that plug into it.
Well, we can research that and see.
It does, I think. But you might have to have it on.
So Mayor, we need to adjourn tonight and then reconvene.
Yeah, we can adjourn tonight's meeting, because we have another scheduled meeting already for Monday, so we can adjourn this meeting. Question is while we're here, would you guys like to continue budget discussions at Monday's meeting as well?
We don't have any other choice.
We probably need more time.
So we do, right, I mean, right, so yes, the manager, he does, right, but he can present anything, right? We still have until June, we still have until June the, first, right? To have the budget, so we can continue to have budget sessions, right?
Yeah,
And make changes.
I know.
Up until the time that we have to have one presented. He needs to officially present this budget, but that doesn't mean that it can't change, right? I'm just saying that. But I would recommend that since we're already meeting, it should be a short meeting, that we just pick up with budget discussions after that. That'd be my recommendation.
I'm in favor of that.
So, the meeting is already scheduled.
It's a normal meeting.
Monday.
So.
And we'll pick up that budget afterwards. Okay? and we can always just add that. I mean, you can.
It's already on the agenda.
Okay.
All right, gentlemen? Yep. All right, I'm adjourned. Mr. Stevens. Second. Motion by,
I didn't know who.
motion by Councilman Stevens, second by Councilman Wood to adjourn tonight's budget. All right, thank you, gentlemen. All in favor? All in favor? Say aye. All opposed? Thank you. All right, meeting adjourned.